All right, I think we are live now. Nobody joined yet, so let me take a minute if you're watching this after the fact or you're coming in a little bit late. This is a weekly live broadcast that I do. It's pretty much just an Ask Me Anything kind of session. I let the chat kind of dictate how the video goes. I don't have a pre-planned topic or anything like that. I just answer the chat questions the best I can, and been having a few problems lately. So if it disconnects, I'll reconnect. Usually go for about an hour. Starts every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. So that's it. Looks like we got some people joining. Let me say hello to everybody. Michaela, I see you there. I saw somebody else join, but I missed who it was. Give me a second to get all set up here. Walter, how are you? Let me get the chat going here so I can see what's going on. Good evening to you, Kelly. Good to have you here. And I forgot something very important. I need to go grab a drink real quick, so give me one moment. I will be right back. Hate to bail on you guys just as soon as I get started, but hopefully you guys understand. Hang on, I'll be right back. All right, see, that didn't take long. All right, get my soda opened up here. Now I think we're good to go. So who we got in here? Allison, Michaela, Walter, Kelly, Jonathan, Gregory from California, welcome. Outdoor Adventures with Daniel. Michaela, I saw you say hello. Sorry I didn't get there. Where's the puppy? Max, come on. Come on. Come on, there you go. Good boy. He's right here. I don't know. You guys probably can't see him. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. There he is. There's Max. Camera kind of freaks him out, I think. He's there. All right, Doug, how are you? Lance, how are you doing? Good to see you. All right, what we got here? Let me adjust this camera down just a little bit. It seems like I'm there. Hopefully that's a little bit better. There we go. All right, so Allison says, let's see, I told you last week I had my first doe due. She had her babies on Monday. She had 7. She did a beautiful nest, and 6 are super healthy. I do have one that hasn't been eating and is super skinny. So you had 7 total. You've got one that's very skinny. And sometimes that happens. You sometimes have a runt, or you sometimes have one that just doesn't know what to do. Hopefully it'll recover just fine. Let's see, you had them on Monday. This is probably doing okay, actually, because, you know, if you had them on Monday and today is Thursday, I had to think of what day it was. They survived for that long, it's probably going to be okay. I hope it's going to be okay anyway. There's not really a whole lot you can do. I mean, you could hold the rabbit down, make sure it's feeding, you know, those kinds of things, but that's pretty stressful on the rabbit. And honestly, if it's not feeding right now, there may be something wrong with it, and it may be best not to kind of force the issue, so to speak. That's just my opinion on it, though. Hopefully it works out just fine. All right. Michaela says, do cute. I think you mean the dog is cute. Yeah, he is a cute dog. He's a good dog too. All right. Kelly says, I can go out in the shop and work on what will be my first quail hutch, or I can sit here for a broadcast. It's hot out there, so this might be a good night for the broadcast. Well, Kelly, I know what you mean. I thought about doing this outside, but good grief, it's like 95 degrees out there. It's hot as can be, so I decided, no, we're going to do it inside tonight. Panama, Hidden Bunnies, how are you? Tom Wolf made it. Good to see you. Michaela says, do you like birds? Yeah, I like birds. I keep quail. I like the quail for sure. But no, I like pretty much all animals. I'm a big nature person, a big outdoors guy. Very much a conservationist. I do hunt, I do fish, but I have a lot of respect for wildlife, and I like all of it. I like seeing it all. All right, Outdoor Adventure says, my quail have just started laying. When can I start incubating? Good question. If you're eating the eggs, just check for fertility. If you've seen my video on how to do that, you know, all the eggs are going to have like a white dot on them. That just means it's a mature egg. Doesn't mean it's fertile. What you're looking for is kind of a bullseye mark. It's just a real faint ring around that white dot on the yolk of the egg. So if you watch my video, I don't know, I posted a couple weeks ago, I think, maybe a month or two ago, about how to tell when your eggs are fertile. That usually, if once you start getting pretty consistent fertile eggs, then you should be able to go ahead and incubate. Usually it's about 2 weeks after they start laying that I would consider them to be pretty fertile at that point. Your first batch may not be the best, give it another shot after that, and they're just going to get better. So I would give them at least 2 to 3 weeks, probably closer to 3 weeks, honestly, from the time they first start laying before you even really think about incubating. But again, just check and see if if they're fertile. And once you start getting pretty consistent fertile eggs, go ahead and incubate. You're good to go. All right, what do we got here? Doug Eldon's got a good suggestion for you, Allison. He says it might be a peanut. It could be, could very well be. Michaela from Pennsylvania. I have never been to Pennsylvania. Hidden Bunny says, I'm a bit late because my doe just had a litter of 5, and she's a good mom. She gave them a lot of fur and fed them all. Well, congratulations, Hidden Bunnies. Glad to hear that you had a successful birth. I'm not doing any more rabbit breeding. I was going to try to get one more breeding in, but good grief, it got so hot so fast. I walked out there the other day and my doe was just laying on her side. I thought she was dead. I had to speak to her and she finally perked up and looked at me and she's fine, but good grief, it's just too hot out there for him. All right. Allison says, I did start giving formula today and it sucks it down. Hopefully I only have to do that for a day or two to give it some strength. That's not a bad idea, Allison. You're talking about the one that's super skinny. That's not a bad idea. Hopefully, like you said, it's just a day or two, kind of get it going, prime it, so to speak, and get its strength back, and then it will be just fine from there on out. I hope so. Jose Rodriguez says, hello, Chris. My quail's doing well in the heat. Yeah, mine are doing pretty good, too. I will give you guys an update. Last week, I posted a video about moving the babies out to the grow-out pen. I lost about 7 birds. Made a mistake. I didn't watch the weather close enough, and we had a storm come through with a cold front. It dropped it down into the 60s at night. And boy, I mean, it was a good storm. It was a pretty good storm. Thunder, lightning, lots of wind, and it was blowing rain into the hutch. And some of them got wet and got soaked and got chilled, and I lost about 7 of them. But the rest of them are doing just fine. The rest of the baby quail are doing just fine. All right, where are we at here? From Arizona, RPG37, Doug says, I had one in my Rex litter and it passed. Sometimes they can live for a couple of months. Oh, you had a peanut in your Rex litter and it passed. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that happened. Like you said, sometimes they can live for a while. Sometimes they don't. It's just, nature's not perfect. Things happen, unfortunately, and sometimes you just have to deal with that. That's just part of raising animals. All right, Michaela says, what is your favorite food? What is my favorite food? You guys are never going to guess. You guys want to guess what my favorite food is? I bet you can't. I'm not a terribly picky eater, but I really don't like things that everybody else likes. So I'll tell you the things I don't like to eat. Can't stand bologna. Don't like hot dogs. Don't like yellow mustard, like on a sandwich or something. I like it like in potato salad and those things, deviled eggs, but not just by itself. I don't like citrus fruits. So I don't like oranges or pineapple, especially not pineapple. And that's pretty close to about it. So I like just about everything else. Oh, Walter, that's a good guess. Crab legs are up there. It's pretty good. Let me get a couple other questions answered here. We'll come back to what my favorite food is, and I'll surprise you guys with it probably. All right. How long for bunnies to stay with the mom? This is Bob asking this question. Okay, Bob. Generally speaking, you're going to want to leave your rabbits at least 6 weeks, but I usually go for more like 7 to 8 weeks. You really don't want to try to wean them off and remove them from the mom before 6 weeks. It can cause some problems, weaning enteritis, gastro problems, can cause them to bloat and die and things like that. So 6 weeks is a bare minimum. I usually go for about 7 to 8 weeks, never had a problem. Hopefully that answers that question and got it for you. All right, Michaela says, me and my friends found an injured bird and we took care of it, and the next day it died. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Michaela. Unfortunately, that's often the case with any kind of wildlife that you find. It's very rare that you're going to be able to find a wild animal that is injured or whatever, take it in and have it survive. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just rare. It's more often than not that the bird got injured because it was already sick, or the injury itself was so bad, or any number of things like that. But wild animals typically don't do well in captivity, except for like lizards and things. They seem to do just fine, but that doesn't mean go out and catch lizards and put them in captivity. Leave them out there where they belong. All right, Maria says, "Hey Chris, you know I'm very new at quail. Silly question. Just got my first 2 eggs. I'm not incubating yet. Just going to eat the eggs. Do I refrigerate? Do I clean the eggs or not? What's best?" Well, there's lots of school thoughts on that, Maria. It's not a silly question at all. Here's what I do personally. I do refrigerate the eggs because I don't want them to develop, and I'm afraid if I leave them, sitting on the counter, then there's a good chance that they are going to develop because it gets warm enough, during the days or whatever. I don't want that happening, so I put them in the refrigerator. Technically, you don't have to. They'll keep on the counter for a very, very long time. Just float test them before you eat them. So get a bowl of water. I just fill up part of the sink and put them in there. And if they float, throw them out. That's not a fresh egg. If they don't float, if they sink to the bottom, then that's fine to eat, no problem. What was your other question? Do you clean them first? I don't clean my eggs. They will keep longer if you don't clean them. I wash them right before I use them, and that's it. If I was selling to other people or whatever, yeah, I'd have to clean them up first because let's face it, nobody wants to buy eggs with quail manure on them. And there's not a lot. I brush off any kind of manure that's on them that sticks, any of their droppings that stick to them. I brush all that off, but I don't wash them. Washing them will wash off the bloom on the egg. There's a bloom on the eggshell is what they call it. That's kind of a protective layer, and it will make them go bad faster. So it's better, in my opinion, to not wash them until you're ready to use them. So that's just how I do it. All right, Tom Wolf says, "Just wanted to thank you again for your videos. Just hatched my second set from KC Quail Farm. 89% hatch rate. Fantastic. Glad to hear it, Tom. Congratulations on your hatch, and I'm glad to hear things are going well for you. Sounds fantastic." All right, Lance says, "Do you have any issues with the heat causing low fertility? What is a good way to maybe bump it up a little? Only 21 out of 30 were viable in my last run." Okay, you're talking about quail, of course. It took me a minute to make sure you were talking about quail, not rabbits. Yeah, in rabbits, definitely heat can cause sterility in the male. They can go sterile any temperatures over about 85 degrees. It's not uncommon for them to go sterile, but when we're talking about quail, I've never had any problems with that myself. What may be happening is it may not be that the eggs aren't fertile. It may be that the eggs they're getting warm enough during the day. Like if the bird lays it, say in the early morning, and you're not collecting until the next morning, that's 24 hours later, it may be getting warm enough where it starts to develop, and then you're putting it in a cool environment so it stops developing. You may not even be able to see that in the eggs themselves. It's just that may be what's happening, if that makes sense. As far as upping the fertility, I have had no problems with it. I use 1 rooster to every 5 hens. That works perfectly for me. All the hens get bred, and the fertility is just fine. So hopefully that kind of helps out a little bit. You might try just collecting your eggs a little bit sooner and see if that helps. That would be my best guess. Or if they're young birds and they just started, laying and whatnot, then you might want to just give them a little bit of time, because sometimes it does take a little while for when the males first come into the breeding, mood, I guess. It takes a little while for them to kind of perform real well. All right. Hidden Bunny says, "Sorry, I spell very fast." Well, hey, that's okay, Hidden Bunnies. I spell terribly. I can't spell at all. It's horrible. I used to feel really bad about that. I used to think, oh my gosh, I can't spell. That's so bad. But then I read a study somewhere that said people with higher IQs often can't spell. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to go with that. I don't know if there's any truth to it or not. All right. Austin says, "I have 10 quail, 8 female and 2 male, but one of my male head is bald." One of your male's head is bald. Okay. If it's his whole head that's bald, then chances are he's getting picked on by the other birds. Most of the time they'll work that out on their own, but you may actually have to find the aggressive bird that's kind of doing all that and move it out of the cage, get it away from the rest of the birds, and kind of level it out a little bit. It's usually just, come on in, Max, it's okay, buddy. Come on. Dog walked in here and then saw me talking and acted like I was on to him about something. What was I saying? Okay. You may have to get the aggressive bird out of there, let them kind of establish their pecking order again, and usually it'll smooth right out. If it's just the back of their head that is bald, then it's probably a female. It's probably not a male. It's probably a hen, and that's the breeding activity that does that. The males grab the females by the back of the head and pull on the feathers on the back of their head whenever they're breeding. So it's very common. In fact, almost all my females have a bald strip down the back of their head pretty much all summer long. It's just the way it happens. All right, hopefully that answers that question for you. Who's this? Michael. Okay, Michael from Pennsylvania as well. Two people from Pennsylvania. Liz Games says, how long should I keep my quail eggs before I put them in the incubator? Usually about 7 days is about the average. Anything after about 7 to 8 days, the not fertility, but the viability of the eggs really starts to drop. But usually up to about 7 days, you're fine. I try to keep mine for about 6 days and start incubating on the seventh day. And that's the general wisdom on that. So hopefully that easy answer, hopefully that takes care of it. All right, Kelly says, Chris, I would like to share the photos of my quail hutches when I have completed them because I have followed your system the most. Is there a way to send photos to your review when they are complete? Well, Kelly, if you're on Facebook, join the Facebook group, the Slightly Redneck Facebook group, and you can post them in there. You'll get lots of people. We've got, I don't know, a couple hundred people in that group right now, and everybody's super friendly, super supportive. And I thank you guys that are in that group for being that way. I'm not the best at being on Facebook all the time. I don't get responses to every single post on there, but there's always somebody in there that's willing to jump in and answer a question when I'm not available, when I'm not doing something, and their advice is almost always spot on and great. Everybody in there has been just fantastic to deal with. So you can join there and post on there. All right. Jonathan says, hey, would quails fight in the cage because I have to kill some of my quail in one of my 3 cages because quail went blind or get blood. I don't think that's what that means, but they're only female and I want to keep them for eggs. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Quail will often fight in cages. It depends. I find that my jumbo browns, they're pretty mellow. They don't fight a lot. My silvers, they fight a little bit more often, and it's not, usually it calms down after a while, but if you add new birds in, for sure they'll pick on that new bird. I've seen them peck eyes out of a bird before, and even, whenever they have a bird that goes blind in one eye, they're usually just fine. They recover okay, and they live just fine with only one eye. It's not a big problem, but if it really goes past that, where they're really going bad on that, you can usually narrow that down to 1 or 2 of the females, and maybe just remove those 1 or 2, and usually it'll calm the rest of them down, and you won't have that problem anymore. But yeah, quail fighting is not that uncommon at all, unfortunately. All right, Walter's guessing my favorite food, the crab legs. Not my favorite, but boy, those are pretty good. They're up there. Lulu the Silky Chicken says, hello, I lost 1 baby rabbit during a storm on Monday. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Lulu. Unfortunately, that happens from time to time. I don't think I've ever lost any due to storms, but I lost a couple of quail due to that storm coming through the other night. All right, and Michaela says, if a nest falls from a tree and it is an egg, will it die? And there's an egg in the nest. More than likely it will, probably. It's very unusual for a bird to come and sit on a nest that's on the ground. Chances are something's going to find it and eat the egg before it ever gets a chance to hatch anyway, unfortunately. All right, Jimmy from Salem, Missouri. Hey, Jimmy, we're pretty close to neighbors anyway, only a couple hours away. Michaela says, the bird we found, it was so high from a tree. It was so high so it fell out of a tree, I'm guessing, and the nest was way up in the tree. And that happens. That's just part of nature. That's why birds have multiple babies. That's why they have lots of them, because most baby birds probably don't survive. That's just the way nature works, unfortunately. All right, Outdoor Adventures with Daniel says, I live in Texas and the temperature is getting bad. It's getting really hot. Do you think my quail will survive? I think they will, Outdoor Adventures, no problem. I'm guessing your name is Daniel, not Outdoor Adventures, because you're Outdoor Adventures with Daniel. Yeah, they should be just fine. I lived in Texas for quite a while. I don't know what part of Texas you live in, but here, my temperature is pretty regularly over 100 in the summer. Everybody in Texas thinks it doesn't get hot anywhere but in Texas, I know. But it does. It gets hot in Missouri as well. And we get pretty regularly, like I said, over 100 degrees. We've had the heat index for the last 2 weeks has been 101, 104, 105. Not the actual temperature, but the heat index. And the quail are doing just fine. I think you're going to be just fine. Keep them in the shade. Make sure the sun's not hitting directly on them. Make sure they have water all the time, and you're going to be fine. All right. Where are we going here? Where are we going? Jimmy says, how many times can I crossbreed before getting new bloodlines for eating and egg consumption? As far as eating the eggs, you don't have to worry about that at all. If you plan on incubating the eggs, I do like to bring in new blood, just like get a new rooster or two or whatever, about every year and a half. By 2 years, by the time they're 2 years old, I try to bring in some new blood, because at that point, if you're incubating your eggs and bringing up your birds, I try not to go more than just a couple of times doing that before I bring in new blood into the flock, so to speak. So hopefully that kind of answers that question. Hidden Bunny says, sorry, I'm mostly Spanish, so I copy sentences. Hidden Bunnies, you're doing fantastic. I don't speak. I've been studying Spanish for the past like 2 months, and I can barely say a couple of words in Spanish now. It's hard for me to learn. So you're doing better than I am. You speak Spanish and English, so good job. Keep it up. All right, Kinsey says, Chris, I just set 23 eggs in the incubator. I'm a little nervous because the incubator didn't seem that hot, but it was reading 99.9 and 48% humidity. I'm assuming that's Fahrenheit, 99.9 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not bad. Oh, you're saying it didn't seem like it was 99 degrees out. Well, I'm not sure what to tell you about that. If you don't have like a calibrated thermometer, like a non-digital calibrated thermometer, like, here we go, I got one right here. Like this one right here, it's like a dial thermometer. This is just a meat thermometer. You make sure you calibrate it first. I can't tell you exactly how to do that in this video. It's not that hard, but it's complex to describe. I need to show it more than I can describe it. If you have one of these, stick it in the incubator, you can verify the temperature that it's reading. If you're using a styrofoam incubator, like a Little Giant or a Farm Innovations or something like that, they're notorious for the thermostat going out on those and them reading just a little bit off. So it's a good idea to pick up one, or two, even better. Calibrate them, stick them in there, make sure they both read the same, and then you can verify your incubator temperature with that. But as far as just going by feel, you're never going to get it right. Don't second guess it if you're not sure. That's the best advice I can give you on that. All right. Geronimo says, problem with my incubator, quail at 37.5, but the temp dropped and now approximately 36, 36.5 or 37. Do you think this will be detrimental to the hatchlings? If you can't get it back up, yeah, it probably will cause some problems with your hatching. Chances are what will happen is you'll start having birds that they'll hatch late, like a day or two late. Some of them may not hatch at all. You may end up with a couple that just don't fully develop as well. The temperature needs to be pretty precise. So you might try to bump it up a degree or two and see what you can do with that. I'm sorry to hear you're having problems with it, Geronimo. Unfortunately, I just don't have much better advice than that. Southern Chicken says, I have nothing important to say other than I enjoy your live streams and your very educational videos. Thanks for putting the time in to share the knowledge. Thank you so much for the kind comments, Southern Chicken. I appreciate that. And thank you for logging into the live stream and watching all my videos. I appreciate it. Michaela wants to know, what is my favorite holiday? Oh boy, probably Christmas. As a Christian, I find that, I always kind of find that weird, actually. Shouldn't we be celebrating Easter more than we do Christmas? But at the same time, I really like Christmas. I am a Christian, so, it's a spiritual time for me. But also just the family traditions that go with it, spending all the time with family, that's probably my favorite holiday. Go check on your baby bunnies, Hidden Bunny. We'll be here. Robin Real Truth says, thanks for the live chat. This is a bunny question. One of my males has light hair on his nose from his eyes to the top of his nose. Is there anything I should be doing? Has light hair. You mean like he's missing some hair, like on his nose up to his top of his head? Or from his eyes to the top of his nose. Okay, so from there to the top of his nose. I don't know exactly what, there could be a number of things that are causing that. Fur mites kind of comes to mind, but that's probably the worst case scenario. And it's probably not that, because he would be missing fur on other places. So if that's the case, though, you're going to need to get something to take care of that, and probably would be the one time that I might resort to like a pesticide, like an ivermectin or something like that. Or is it ivermectin? I never know how to pronounce that exactly. Other than that, it may just be that he's rubbing his nose on things. So you may just watch him. If he's rubbing his face a lot on the side of the cage or whatever, he may have just rubbed it off. And if that's the case, it's probably nothing to worry about. It's probably going to come right back, and no big deal. Hopefully that answers. And Kelly says, thanks, I'll join the Facebook group. Well, hey, we look forward to seeing you in there. Jose Rodriguez says, Chris, I want to improve my water system for my quails, which you would recommend me. Chris, I want to improve my water system for my quails, which you would recommend me. I'm not sure what you're asking me exactly, Jose. Are you asking me what would I recommend for your water system? I would guess that, well, I would recommend the water cups that I use, and I don't have any right here on me, but they're a cup. They've got a little yellow plunger inside that the birds peck at, and that's what lets water out. They don't stay full of water all the time. So, you know, if you're not used to that, you go in and look and it's completely dry and you're thinking, oh no, they're not getting water. But you hit that little plunger and it just lets out a little bit of water. And the quail learn to use that very quickly. It conserves your water. You don't have much water spilling or leaking out or anything like that. Works great. It's my favorite watering system for my quail. I've got a couple of videos on it. I can look up a little bit later for you, and that would show you what I'm talking about. You hook them up. I've got them on PVC. They sell a PVC connector where you screw the cup into, and then you connect it to PVC. A little bit of an adapter on the end, connect a hose to it, and then run it to a 5-gallon bucket. And I fill the 5-gallon bucket up, and that's what feeds it. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll be probably doing another video on building a watering system pretty soon because I've got a new hutch that I'm building. I'm gonna have to build a watering system for it. So I'll probably just shoot a video on that when I do. All right. Allison says, yay, I didn't know you had a Facebook group. I just joined it. I will share photos of my new babies. Good, Allison. We look forward to seeing them. Give me just a little while when I get off here, though, at some point this evening, probably. I'll log on and approve you guys to join in there. Only rule I have in there, well, I have a couple of rules, but for the most part, it's don't be a jerk. Be nice, be friendly. Remember, it's a family environment. Keep it family friendly. As long as you guys do those things, I don't have a problem. I don't care. Post anything you want to. Don't spam us. Don't go crazy with, you know, hundreds of pictures a day or anything like that. But if you start being a jerk to somebody, or you start cussing up a storm, or posting, you know, like sexually explicit content or any of that kind of stuff, then I'm going to kick you out. That's it. Other than that, you're welcome. Everybody's welcome to join. The more the merrier, in my opinion. All right, Jason says, do quail eggs at the store really hatch? I've seen videos where people swear they do. From the grocery store? You know, I've seen that too, Jason. I've never tried it, so I can't say one way or the other whether they would or wouldn't. I don't see why they wouldn't, though. Not that you're going to get great hatch rates out of there, but it's possible to get them to hatch. I don't see why they wouldn't. So try it out if you want to. Outdoor Adventures with Daniel says, I live in Central Texas. You're back to talking about the heat. Well, you know, I lived in Nacogdoches. I don't know if you know where that is, but that was pretty hot. But we get hot here in Missouri, and the quail do just fine. So I wouldn't stress about it. Keep them in the shade. Give them plenty of water. They should be fine. All right. Hey from Florida. This is Douglas. Hey from Florida. Speaking of thunderstorms, we sure do get our fair share. Do you find that egg production drops during storms? You know, oddly enough, Douglas, sometimes it does. Like the storm that blew through the other night. You know, the next day I got plenty of eggs, no problem, because those were already stored up. But the day after that, I got hardly any eggs. And then like a day later, they were all back to laying again. So yeah, I do find that happens sometimes. I think it's probably just the shock. You know, the birds quit laying whenever they get stressed out for any reason whatsoever. Something changes. You move them to a new cage. You know, any of that kind of stuff. They pretty much quit laying for a little while. So yeah, I believe that the thunderstorms can affect that sometimes. All right, Michaela says, I found a bird yesterday, and it was injured, and I took care of it, and it was fine right after that. Well, that was nice of you to do, Michaela. I'm glad it worked out. Kay Aldridge says, after butchering quail, is it best to keep them in the refrigerator before cooking or freezing? Yes, Kay, that's pretty much standard for any animal that you're going to butcher. You want to, rabbits, quail, any of that kind of stuff. What will happen is, you butcher the bird, you clean it, and then rigor mortis will set in, and that, you know, makes it stiff. You know, everybody knows what rigor mortis is, right? Maybe you guys that don't speak English as your primary language, you may not know what I mean, but you know, like an animal gets stiff when it dies. That's rigor mortis that sets in. You want to, I personally believe anyway, that you want to. What was I going to say? Got distracted there for a second. Oh, that you want to let them rest long enough for the rigor mortis to leave the meat. Usually that's about 24 hours. Roughly, whenever the animal's no longer stiff, then you can freeze it, then you can cook it. Now, the other exception to that would be if you're going to butcher it and then cook it right away within like 30 minutes. That's fine. Go ahead and do it. But that's how I do it. And I believe personally in dry aging my meat. I don't like, you'll see lots of people that talk about putting them in an ice chest full of water. I like my meat to be dry aged. So I want it out of the water. I want it to be, I cover it with a paper towel or something so things don't get on it. But I want it to be air dry, dry whenever it ages for, 24 to 48 hours, and then it's good to freeze or cook or whatever you want to do with it. All right, Martin, hello to you. All right, Jonathan Roy says, How old does a buck need to be to want to breed? Got a pure breed rabbits and want to see where he bring. What's he bringing? I guess. Okay. How old does a male rabbit need to be? Usually about 6 months is the kind of standard with when you start breeding them. But bucks especially will sometimes go into the mood before that. Usually, it's not uncommon for them to by 3 to 4 months old even want to start the breeding activity. That doesn't mean they're going to be fertile. That doesn't mean that they're going to produce young. They might. It happens. But yeah, I'd wait till they're about 6 months old. Hidden Bunny says, I lost my female rabbit just last week, and my mom found a hole where she was dinging her babies, but we never found her or her babies. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Hidden Bunnies. It got out, I'm guessing, and probably disappeared, or something got in and got it. Either way. Sorry to hear that. Hang in there. It sounds like you got new babies now, so it's going to recover. You're going to be just fine in the end. Geronimo says, love this show, thumbs up every time. Thank you so much, Geronimo. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining every time. I appreciate that. All right, Austin says, what's a good way to add some new adult quail to my quail I have already? That's tough, Austin. The way I do it would be try to get equal groups. So don't add like 1 quail to a group of 6. Add like 3 quail to a group of 3. 5 quail to a group of 5. Even if you have to split up the existing group to make that kind of work out, that's really the best way to do it, because then you're not looking at and if you've got a different cage, you can put them all in a different cage together. That helps as well. Do it at night, so you're introducing the new birds when it's dark out, and not like first thing in the morning where it's light and they have all day to fight. Those are a couple things that you can do. Watch them pretty close. There's probably going to be some fighting that goes on. You may have to, if you have the ability, you can put like the new birds in like a small cage inside the bigger pen, so they have a time to kind of adjust to each other without being able to get to each other, and then let them out and they're going to be fine. I've had really good luck, not with adults, but with baby, like 4-week-old, 5-week-old quail, adding them to an existing flock and letting them go ahead and finish maturing when they're mixed in with the other birds already. I've had good luck with doing that. But when you take adult birds and you mix them in with existing flock of adult birds, they're going to get singled out. They're almost always going to get picked on and get beat up pretty bad. It's tough to do. So hopefully I gave you a couple ideas there, and that will help. What's up, Max? He runs in here every once in a while and looks at me, wants to know who I'm talking to. All right. Where are we at? John Liberty's here. Hey, hello, John. Catherine, or no, is it Catherine's Lee? I'm going to call you Catherine. Hopefully that's okay. Says, my quails got bumblefeet. What should I do? Okay. All your quails or just a quail? One of your quails has bumblefoot, I'm guessing, hopefully. Bumblefoot's usually caused by something getting into the foot, like a grain of sand or something like that, and causing an infection. So you need to really kind of open that up and remove whatever it is that's causing that. And it's going to be a little bit tricky. A pair of tweezers and maybe a scalpel, something pretty sharp. You don't want to go sawing on their foot with a dull pocket knife or something like that. You want to nick it, open it up, get whatever's out or whatever's in there causing that out. Think of it kind of like a pimple in a sense, and then clean it out with some good antibiotic ointment. Not anything with pain reliever in it, just triple antibiotic ointment. No pain relievers. Pain relievers can be toxic to animals, and that should do okay with that usually. Honestly, if that were to happen to me, depending on what I had, I might just call the bird and eat it, because it's easier in a way. And I know that sounds heartless, but I just I don't find that I don't want the birds to suffer. So if I feel like they're suffering at all, I'm usually going to call and eat them. But bumblefoot's not that serious. A lot of times it can be treated and can be overcome pretty easily. So hopefully that helps out with that. Jose says, thank you for the information about the water feeder. Hey, no problem, Jose. Hopefully it helped. Where are we at? Hidden Bunnies has got a joke for us. Knock, knock, who's there? Who? You talk like an owl. All right, Walter Camp says, what part of Florida, Douglas? Douglas, that was for you, so you need to answer. Robin, you're very welcome. All right, we got another joke from Hidden Bunnies. Knock, knock, who's there? Cows go. Cows go who? Cows go moo, not who. All right, thank you. All right, Hristigen, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right or not, says, are pheasants good for a small homestead? It depends on what you're looking for. And pheasants can be for sure. They're not going to be as prolific. They're not going to be as easy to breed. They're not going to grow nearly as fast as as quail do. And holy cow! Thank you so much, Walter, for the $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And I can't tell. Are we frozen? Did the video freeze, or you guys? Can you hear me? Okay. If you can hear me and you can see me okay, say something to me, let me know. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. I got the video playing in the background. It's frozen on my computer, but if everybody else can hear me, that's okay. All right, pheasants. Back to pheasants. Yeah, again, it depends on what you're looking to get out of it. If you want to raise pheasants, raise them. No problems why you shouldn't. But again, they're not going to grow as fast. They're not going to be as prolific. You're not going to be able to get the egg and the meat production out of them that you do out of Coturnix quail. Coturnix quail win hands down for any of those small birds. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't raise them. It doesn't mean they're not good. It just depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what your goals are. All right, Michaela says, okay, I have a question for you. If you notice a bird flying for a second and keeps falling over, did it break its leg? It depends. I mean, there could be any number of things that cause that, Michaela. If it's flying and it falls over, probably not broken leg, but it could be. There's a lot of different reasons for that, and it's hard to narrow that down. All right, Edward says, hey, day 2 of eggs in the incubator on the yacht. I'm worried if I'll have enough mealworms. Yeah, you always get that point of worry, don't you? It's like, oh crap, I'm getting a really good hatch rate. Where am I going to put all these birds? How am I going to feed all these birds? Hang in there, Edward. Hopefully you'll figure out a way. I'm sure you will. All right, everything's good. Southwest Florida. Okay, Douglas is in Southwest Florida, Cape Coral. Cape Coral. I think it's Cape Coral. Luis says, thanks for your videos. Well, thank you, Luis, for watching. I appreciate it. And Hidden Bunny says, can you tell us a really good joke? I don't know if I have any really good jokes anymore. I told you guys one a couple of weeks ago. I'll see what I can come up with. Maybe towards the end of this video, we'll tell a joke. All right, Luis says, my quail has the side neck is sick or something in particular. Thanks. Okay, your quail has a side neck. I think what you mean is your quail, like its head tilted to the side, like wry neck, basically. Yeah, that's usually a vitamin deficiency, but not always. Sometimes you just get a deformity in a bird. Sometimes a bird just gets sick for whatever reason. If it's not happened to a bunch of your birds, it's probably not a vitamin deficiency that's causing it. It's probably some kind of deformity in the bird itself. So anyway, it's hard to say exactly what's causing that. There's probably not much you can do about it, honestly. I have heard, give them lots of electrolytes, and I want to say it's vitamin B, I think. But look up wry neck in birds, and then you can see the vitamin that it's needed. I can't remember exactly which one it is. I'd have to look back at my notes, and I don't have them handy here to look at right at the moment. You can try that. Honestly, depending on your situation, I would call the bird. They usually don't survive very long with that, unless you get the right vitamins into them and it gets corrected really quick. Hopefully that helps, Lise. Is this spam with a bunch of M's on it? Well, it's not really. I mean, it's kind of spam. Spam is more like you're just constantly over and over again posting nonsense. That's more like spam. All right, Michaela says, one of my friend's chicks stepped on a wood and it has a splinter. What do I tell her? One of her chicks stepped on some wood and got a splinter. Pull the splinter out. That really should be all you have to do. I mean, pull it out. It should be fine. Hi, Chris. How do you handle your flies surrounding your quail hutches? I've got tons of flies, and the citronella spray I'm using only works for a little bit. Yeah, Cora, honestly, I don't. I just leave it alone. I just ignore it and let it go. I've got a lot of flies too, but over time they seem to kind of mellow out. They don't get any worse over time anyway. They kind of mellow out and they kind of go away. The only way you're going to really be able to get rid of them, I mean, you can set up fly traps and some of those kinds of things, is to get rid of what's drawing them. That means like daily cleaning. Empty the manure trays or the manure pile or whatever. Clean it out like every single day. You can put lime on it. That is supposed to help a little bit, but again, it's going to be a temporary thing. You're going to have to do it fairly regularly. I don't worry about it. And usually what happens is, excuse me. Usually what happens is I get a I get black soldier flies that tend to move in under my coop in the manure pile under for some reason. And whenever they move in, the flies pretty much quit because they'll eat all the everything. They'll eat anything that falls in there. Not like people. They're not, going to eat you, but they are. That black soldier fly larva is fantastic. It does a great job. If you can get that just naturally occurring, boy, you're lucky. All right, where are we at here? All right, quail, can you... All right, Edward says, quail, can you kill and clean and on the stove in 1 minute? I've seen it done, and it blows me away. I don't know if I could do it in 1 minute because I don't move that fast. I'm taking my time. I'm not in that big of a hurry. But yeah, I can easily clean a bird and have it cleaned completely in two or 3 minutes at the most, and that's not even trying very hard. It's really not difficult. All right, Walter Camp says, close to Tampa, Florida here. If you need help with anything, let me know. And that's that's fantastic. That's what I really like about all my viewers. Everybody in the Facebook group are always willing to step in and help each other out. And I love to see it. Good job. Thank you guys for being that way. And thanks you for always helping everybody out. And I just appreciate that. All right. Hidden Bunny says, how do you even ban someone from the live stream? I found a way to do that. When somebody posts a comment, it pops up and I can hit that, and then I have options to ban or put them in timeout or whatever. So that's how I could do that. I don't usually. Usually it's not a big issue. Connor says, I find the birds love to chase the flies around, gives them some exercise. Connor, that's one of the best, that's one of the funniest things. You get a fly, gets in your brooder box with your chicks, and then the whole group of them will just chase it from one end to the other, and they're just nonstop. It's one of the funniest things to watch. All right, Walter's got a good suggestion. Says fly bags work great for me. I put up a few of those in the past. They do a pretty good job. They do tend to fill up pretty quick, but that's not necessarily a problem. Boris says, hello, Chris. Well, hello, Boris. Glad to see you. Hidden Bunny says, what is timeout? Okay, timeout is like putting them in a... They can't say anything. They can't leave any comments or whatever for a period of time, for a short period of time. Edward says, ever thought of a new animal to try? I get this question probably about every week. Yeah, I've thought about ducks. I've thought about adding ducks, and I still may add ducks. But other than that, I don't really have any idea on anything else to add. That's just maybe. I don't know. If I do, you guys will see it for sure. All right. The Blues Man is just creeping on us today. That's okay, Blues Man. You can do that. Michelle Richards says, hi, Chris. Hope all is well. Great live chat. Hatched out 32 buttons, and I just got 3 peacock eggs into lockdown. Every time I get new birds grow big enough, I just add them. They never seem to fight. Well, hey, that's fantastic, Michelle. I've noticed that, again, I've talked about this before, and this is just my personal experience, but like the jumbo pharaohs and even the standard browns, the brown, just the natural brown Coturnix quail seem to be much less aggressive than the other strains. The whitebirds that I had for a while, and even my silvers, are much more aggressive. Sometimes I'll have a flock together for quite a while, and then all of a sudden they just turn on one of them and start picking on them and just beat them up, for no reason whatsoever. Very seldom happens with the browns. They're pretty mellow. They're pretty easy. They get along with everybody. Seems to be a lot better. So I don't know. Maybe it's different with certain birds. All right. Hello, Samuel. Good to see you. Hidden Bunnies wants to know if I'll try the time out on you for this one time. Hidden Bunnies, I don't want to do that to you. I don't know how long it puts you in timeout. I don't know if you wouldn't be able to come back in. I don't want to do that to you. It's just, no, I'm not going to do that. All right. We got a little bit of a break in the comments section here for a second, so let me answer the question that was asked earlier about what my favorite food is. Only had the one guess. The guess was crab legs. Not my favorite, although very good. I do like crab legs quite a bit. My absolute favorite food, liver and onions. I love liver and onions. And rabbit liver's right up there with it, but I do really like the beef liver, calf liver. My absolute favorite of all time. Love it. All right, Cora K says, Chris, I still have duck eggs for you, by the way. I hatched my first goose days ago. They are so cute and friendly. Well, Cora, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, you know, it's probably a long way to go to pick up duck eggs, but I do appreciate you you thinking of me. All right. Hidden bunnies, you are funny sometimes, and that's good. Kelly Dragstrom says pigeons not good for eggs, but they get to take them far away and turn them loose and see if you're able to beat them back to the coop. Good meat birds and a toy too. You know, Kelly, I've had a couple of people suggest pigeons to me before. I've never eaten pigeon before, but I bet it'd be good. And they're considerably bigger, so you know, I don't know. Maybe it's something I'd want to add in at some point. I don't know. I'll think about it. All right. Luis, what's up? You said, hey, Chris. There they are. My quails just started laying finally. Well, fantastic. Congratulations. I know what it's like. You're waiting for them to start laying, and then they start laying finally. And be prepared. It's probably going to be a little hit or miss for a couple of days, for maybe a week or two, and then they'll just be on. Like every day you'll get a bunch of eggs, and you'll probably have more eggs than you know what to do with before long. All right, Samuel, you're going to have to calm down. There's no reason to spam us with the hi over and over again. Hello to you. Glad to have you, but calm down on it. All right, Jose says, Chris, beside quails, I also have New Zealand rabbits. They are about 12 pounds. Those are good. New Zealand's are fantastic meat rabbits. There we go. So, yeah, fantastic. Love New Zealand's one of my favorites. All right. Hidden Bunny says, is anyone selling ducks in Panama? This is probably not a good question for someone who doesn't live here in Panama. Yeah, well, I don't know. Honestly, I'm sure somebody is selling ducks in Panama, Hidden Bunnies, but I don't know who that would be right offhand. And I don't know if anybody else in here lives in Panama, but hopefully you find some. Kelly says, froze right when you answered my comment. Uh-oh, Kelly, what was your question? Oh, about pigeons. I'm sorry. So what I was saying is, I've had a couple of people suggest pigeons to me before. Uh-oh, did everybody lose the video feed? Are we still going? Hang on, I gotta let the dog out. He's barking like crazy. Max. There you go. All right, anybody else lose the video, or are we still going? I'm good for some people. No, some other people can't hear me. It froze up on some people. Okay. You guys can still see me, still hear me okay? Hopefully. All right. I'm going to go ahead and keep going with this. Hopefully Kelly gets it figured out. Kelly, if you can hear me, let me know, and I'll go back and answer your question again. I'm sorry you're having problems. You may have to close out, open back up, and rejoin, I guess. I'm not sure. All right. All right, Victor. Oh, wait, I've lost some things. Connor O'Leary. That's a great name, by the way. Just a good Irish name. One more point about flies. When they leave larvae in the waste under the quail cage, you can turn it up and makes a great treat for the birds. Yeah, you're right. Birds love maggots, for sure. All right. Hello from the island of Saipan, I think it is. Thank you for all your videos. Hatched out my first quail last week. Congratulations, Victor. Glad to hear it. Thank you for watching all the videos, too. I appreciate that. The Bluesman says, I'm hatching out a pile of ringneck pheasants to release here in South Alabama. Extra eggs is always a great way to populate your area. Yeah, that's true. In some areas that may be illegal, so make sure you check before you do it. But I'm sure you've already checked on all that, Bluesman. All right. Two people talking about losing the broadcast. Hopefully we're still there. Oh, no. Kelly having to restart. I'm sorry to hear that, Kelly. Well, she can't hear me, so I don't guess it's she or he. I'm guessing it's she. I don't know. All right. Where are we at? Oh, Chris. This is Luis saying this. Chris, the FIFA World Cup has begun. Arriba, Peru. What does Arriba mean exactly? I always thought Arriba was like upstairs or something. What does that mean? Help me out with that. And where are you from, Luis? It doesn't matter. I'm just kind of curious. We'll see. All right, Golden Console Gaming, or Golden Console G, I guess it is. I'm thinking of getting quail. Well, you've come to the right channel if you're looking at getting some quail. I've got all kinds of videos that'll help you out on that. If you do, be sure to let us know, and we'll make sure that you get the help you need if you need anything. Kelly says, yep, still frozen, restarting the computer. John Liberty says, I use the eggs that failed to hatch to create a maggot farm. Maggots drop down from into the chicken run. Plenty of YouTubes on how to build them. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that too, John. And that's, I mean, around here I see them all the time over ponds too. Like people have bluegill ponds, and they'll hang a bucket over it with put something in it, draws the flies, the maggots fall into the water and feed the fish. It's a great idea. I'm not going to do that with the quail. I just don't need something stinky out there in my backyard. But it's a good suggestion. All right. Jose Rodriguez says, "Go up." Are you answering my question about what Ariba means? Huh? It means go up. Okay, interesting. Paul Stinson says, thanks for the videos, Chris. I had my best season with rabbits so far. 20 babies. One mom had 5. First time mom. Fantastic, Paul. So glad to hear that. And everybody's doing great. That's good to hear. Okay, I've got people saying yes and see. I think you got me right. So I'm guessing that's kind of slang. It doesn't really, when you say it that way, it doesn't necessarily mean go up. Like you're not saying go up Peru. It just means kind of like, it's like win, like you're rooting for them, right? That's my guess. I always remembered, I took Spanish in high school. I didn't learn anything. I was terrible. But I always remembered whenever I learned that word, it was like go up or upstairs. I couldn't remember what it meant. That I remember, Speedy Gonzalez, the little mouse, saying that all the time. And I thought that's so weird for him to say. I never understood why. All right, Hidden Bunny says, where are you from? Are you talking to me, Hidden Bunnies? Where am I from? I live in Joplin, Missouri, and that's pretty much where I'm from. I'm actually from a little town called Webb City, Missouri, but nobody's ever heard of Webb City, Missouri. So, and I live in Joplin now, and Webb City's just right at the edge of Joplin. So I pretty much just say I'm from Joplin. Luis says it has so many meanings, but it is a way to say, let's go, Peru. I kind of guessed that was what it was. Samuel and Scarlet Monte say, do you have a dog? Yeah, I've got a dog. He's in there barking right now. He's looking out the door, and he probably sees something out there he wants to go chase. I let him out a minute ago, and he came back in. He can push the door open to get back in, but he can't open it to get out, so he barks at me. All right, Hidden Bunny says, oh, Chris, you know how I told you about my attitude? Yes, I remember we're talking about that. Yes, says, I changed my attitude and things weren't gray and sad anymore. Well, fantastic, Hidden Bunnies. I'm glad to hear that. That's the advice I gave you. That's it. You control your own attitude. I know it's difficult, especially when you're younger. It gets easier as you get older, or it was for me that way anyway when I was younger. But once you learn that, that's a great secret to learn. You are the one that's in control of your attitude, and you can fix it. John Liberty says, U.S. is not in the World Cup. Go 2022. Yeah, I've heard that too. The U.S. wasn't in the World Cup. First time in like 10 years that they haven't been in the men's World Cup anyway. I think the women's team's still going to be in, right? I don't know. I'm not a big sports fan, and I don't really watch soccer at all. So I'm really not sure what I'm talking about when it comes to the World Cup. All right. Michael says, is Chick Starter 24%? Good to feed quail for their entire life. Yeah, it's fine. I like a little higher percentage myself. I go with about 30%. But if you can get 24%, that's all you can get. Don't stress about it. That's going to be just fine. Quail are going to do just fine on the 24%. All right. Charles says, have you had any problems with cats? And if you do, what do you do to get rid of the problem for rabbits? Okay. Have I had any problems with cats and my rabbits? No, I've not had any problems with cats. There are cats, not wild cats. They're neighbors' cats that run the neighborhood. There's lots of them. And they come around my quail hutches from time to time, but after a couple of days, they just kind of gave up interest. They didn't really, they don't even try to come near my quail hutches anymore. So it's not a problem for me. If I did have a problem and I needed to get rid of the cats, I would consider it depends on where you live. If you live in the country and these are feral cats, then just trap them, get rid of them that way. If they're in town and they're the neighbors' cats that are running loose, You could put up, like some electric fence, some of those kinds of things. I've often toyed with the idea of getting a motion activated sprinkler. They make those. It sounds like the greatest idea ever. It's just a sprinkler, and it shoots out a stream of water in a pretty good stream, and it's motion activated. So when the cat, it's not made for cats specifically. It's made for like squirrels and all those kinds of things. Keep them off your garden. But whenever whatever it is walks by and sets off that motion, it just shoots out a bunch of water. So they'll stay away pretty quick if you do that. But I've also thought about if you have that thing going during the day and you have that hose laying out in the sun all day long, that may be like scalding hot water coming out of there. That would be I don't know, you don't want to cook the cat, so that may not be the best idea either. I don't know. Those are a couple of suggestions though. Electric fence is a great one. Just run a string of electric fence, take some aluminum foil, fold it over, piece about that long, about that wide, smear some peanut butter over it and fold it over that electric fence wire, and do that about every, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 feet. And what will happen is when the cat comes up to mess with your rabbits or whatever, it's going to smell that peanut butter. Whatever it is that's coming up to mess with them is going to smell that peanut butter, because everything likes peanut butter. It's going to go to the peanut butter. It's going to lick that peanut butter, and bam! Never going to do it again. It'll probably stay away from your quail or your rabbits forever. So that's a good suggestion too. Just remember to turn it off before you go out to feed. Don't get caught on the electric wire. All right. Where are we at here? No, I didn't ban anybody today, Hidden Bunnies. They just got the idea and quit. Most of the time, I always say don't feed the trolls. Most of the time when you get those people in here that are just troll, that's another word for it, trolling, spamming just over and over and over again. They're looking for a reaction. If you just ignore them, they're going to go away most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Golden Console says, how do you get predators away from the quail? I haven't had huge problems with predators. The electric wire I just talked about, that's a good way to address with it. Or to address it, I should say. Other than that, if I had bad problems with predators, it'd either be traps, like live traps, relocate if I needed to, or if I live out in the country, I live in town. The electric fence is a good option. If it's bad problem with predators, then a good high-powered pellet rifle or a 22 or something like that, and clean them out, if they're overcrowded. Usually what you're going to have is a predator is coming by and looking for an easy meal, and they find your animals, your quail, whatever. So they may try to get at them, but if you can make it uncomfortable, a piece of electric wire, something like that, a dog that barks at them and chases them off every time, they're going to quit. They're going to leave it alone. If they don't leave it alone and they keep coming back, it's a sign that they may be overcrowded. There may not be enough food for them out in the wild. So that may be when you have to take additional steps to dispose of them, so to speak. All right, where are we at here? 57 minutes. We're getting close to having to wrap this up. We got a few more minutes though. All right, I've lost track here. Maria, okay, the feed store where I bought my 28% protein starter told me that once that birds start laying, I should change up to developer. How do you feel about that? I feel that they're wrong. I feed all my birds game bird starter their entire life. It's perfectly fine. No problems whatsoever. And I shouldn't be so harsh and say they're wrong. Chances are they're just going with their wisdom from chickens. Quail are not chickens. They are a little bit different. They're very similar, but they're not exactly the same. And they don't have the same calcium requirements. They don't have nearly as high of a calcium requirement as chicken do. So there's no reason you have to change up. I feed game bird starter all my birds their entire life. And I don't grind the feed up either. That's another thing you're going to see pretty common is people will say, oh, when they're babies, they're right out of the incubator, you need to grind the feed. It's just crumble feed. I throw it right in from day one, and they eat it just fine, no problem, right out of the bag. All right, Luis says, Chris, I started my quail adventure with 9 quails, but now I'm down to 6. Out of those 6, I have 3 males and 3 females. Wow, that's a pretty high male to female ratio. So happily, they finally started laying eggs. Unfortunately, I lost 3 due to a raccoon. Yeah, Luis, raccoons will get them for you. Those raccoons can be pretty good. I've got a couple of raccoons that have come around the quail hutches, mine. They've never been able to figure out a way to get in. And I don't know if I just got lucky and built like a raccoon-proof quail hutch by accident, or if the quails around here are just lazy, or if there's enough food for them, they don't need to worry about the quail and it was just too much work. But they've never been able to figure out how to get into my hutches so far. Yep, that's a good suggestion too, Douglas, is a good cat. will keep away most unwanted pests. Yeah, you're right. As far as, raccoons, anything like raccoon size or, smaller, now they're not going to keep out coyotes and things like that, but, any of that kind of stuff they will. 5 Tons with Guns is here. Hello, Chris. Hope all is well. I'm looking forward to sending the jig for your hutches. Thank you, and always God bless. Well, thank you so much for that offer. I appreciate that. I'm almost done with that part of. I'm pretty much done with that part of the hutches. But heck, if you want to send it to me, you can. I appreciate the offer, and it looks like a very cool jig. I'll use it probably at some point in the future. I guess that's it. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. Jonathan says, just went on Facebook and add your page. Fine, it's awesome. My name on Facebook is J.R. Roy. Want for something, show you my little farm. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. If you join the Facebook group, now I've got a Facebook page and I've got a Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. That'll give you more. You can post in there and it's a little bit easier. So, all right. Yeah, troll food, Bluesman. You're right. All right, guys. I'm running out of time. We're just a little bit over an hour. I got to get this wrapped up here pretty quick. Unfortunately, I didn't get everybody's comment answered this time, but we're going to have to wrap it up. Before I do, real quick, next week I am flying to the Dominican Republic on Thursday. I won't get there till late at night, so can't do the live broadcast next week. More than likely, who knows, maybe I'll do it Friday evening from the hotel room or something. But chances are I probably won't get a live broadcast next week. The week after that, I'll be there. I should be able to get one done. I'll still be in the Dominican Republic on Thursday. But I should be able to get one done Thursday evening. I think I leave out Friday to come back home, so I think Thursday evening will be calm and I'll be able to get it done. But there's a possibility I may not be able to get one done that week too. Just giving you guys a heads up, I should say. Make sure you hit that little bell icon and turn the notifications on, because if I can, I'll get it done over, maybe Friday or heck, even over the weekend. Maybe I'm going to be there for the weekend with nothing to do, so maybe I'll jump on and do a live broadcast. Who knows? We'll see. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up, get it closed out. Sorry if I didn't get all. Yeah, don't drink the water, Bill. I already know that. Thank you for the suggestion, though. All right, guys, got to get this wrapped up. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Thank you for joining every single week and for watching all my videos. I appreciate it. I want to say God bless each and every one of you. And just a side note, if you are a Christian like me, please add my wife, her name is Susie, to your prayers. Nothing real serious right now, but she had some medical testing done. I don't want to, make a big deal out of it, embarrass her and put that out in public or whatever. She's got to go in for some test results, so she's a little worried about it. I'm not. I don't tend to worry about anything at all, but do say a little prayer for her for calmness and for healing if it is something, and just for overall good turnout for that. I would appreciate it. Talk to you at some point next week, and good night.